Good morning, and welcome to our fifth and final WTH webinar training session. We're glad to see so many of you joining us, some as repeat attendees. My name is Leslie, and I'll be moderating today. Being the last installment in a series of webinars, we invite you to navigate our website, WTHGIS.com, and click on the banner, which will take you to our webinar menu page, where you can review what we've covered throughout this series. Our topic for today's session is thinkgis.com, where we will go over map functions, tool buttons, and the field pin layer. If there is something that isn't making sense or you would like more information on, we invite you to post a question in our Q&A tab that you can access in the Teams toolbar above. From there, you can submit a question in the side discussion bar. After we are done here today, you will receive an email that will have two things. First is a survey link where we ask that you provide feedback on how we did here today. On that survey will also be a section where you can request more in-depth training on features we may not have time to cover in today's session. If you would like more information, please leave a brief description of what you would like to review so we can have the appropriate team member reach out to you. The second thing to watch for in that email will be a link to a recording of today's session. We've had some users unable to access that link in the past, so we want to be sure that you know the link will be available in our website webinar registration page to access at any time, to bookmark and review at your own pace, or to use as a tool when training new employees. Now I'll turn the session over to Trevor. Trevor is our GIS project manager with over 20 years of experience specializing in project task management and production. Take it away, Trevor.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar. This morning, we're going to talk about, as Leslie said, thinkgis.com. The thinkgis.com is an additional application that can be purchased as a subscription to use in addition to your existing GIS data. The benefits of thinkgis.com are that it's available as a mobile map that can be used on a mobile device such as a phone or a tablet. To start with, we'll get on this page here, and this is your login page. This is just a URL that can be logged into from your tablet, any browser on your phone or tablet, or on a browser on your desktop. So I'm going to log in. All you need is a username, an email connection, and you can click on login and log into your map. There are several different types of maps available, but the benefits are public safety and utility maps to start with. To start with, I'm going to start with the utility map for this demo. I'm going to go over the map navigation, the layer settings, and how to do some searches and add details on the map. To start with, I've logged into the City of Rensselaer's utility map, and I've got their water layers turned on. I'm going to go over, to start with, how to navigate on the map. You can see my cursor on the screen. If I want to zoom in on the map, one of the ways I can zoom in is down here on the right, click on this box zoom button. I'm going to left click on that, and I'm going to left click and zoom in on the location on my map. In this case, it's kind of hard to see that window, but I'll zoom in closer until the photography turns on. And if I want to do that again, I can click on box zoom and left click and zoom in and get a fixed area of what I want to view on the map, and I can see that there. Anytime I want to reset my map view to go back to my standard settings, on the upper left, there's this top button that says Reset Map View. I just left click on that and bring that back up here. Now, everything I'm doing today can also be done on your phone with using your finger touches as you normally would interact with a website on your phone. The next button down here is your zoom in. This is a fixed zoom in button. So when you click on this, it resizes the map screen about 3/4 of the size. And continue to do that and move in. The bottom button is your negative button or minus zoom out. Same thing, about 3/4 of the screen increase to size so you get it back out there, and then you can reset. Your next button here, so as I can also scroll my mouse, if I'm on a desktop, I can scroll forward and zoom in, scroll out to zoom out, and left click to hold down and drag the window around to where I want it as well. We're going to reset the map. As part of the open source data, this map is built on open source data. I'll talk about that in a little bit. One of the buttons we have here is what's called a rotate view. In this case, this is a kind of a extra button that's built in. I just want to let you know what happens. When I right click, it allows me to rotate the map and view around and see a bird's eye view. So it's kind of a pretty fun thing to play with. But those of you who may be at motion sickness, if you move that too quickly, it may cause some issues. So we'll just reset that. We're hoping some future tools will make that a valuable tool for you. The next button is your Google Street View. So we're going to zoom in on the map. And just like on Google Maps, you can click on your person and click a point on the map. And it's going to open up a new browser for us. So it brings up Google Street Views and comes around, and I can use the Street View to view just normally like I would out there. I'm going to come down here this way. And I want to look just at this corner here. You can see there's a hydrant on this corner. If I go back to my map here, you can see that hydrant is showing up here in that corner. So it's a way to help verify what's in the real world with some of the photo data out there. When you're done with your Google Map view, you can left click and that'll go away. The last button on the map here is your kind of My Location or Locate Me. When you click on this, this identifies where you are on the map. In your phone, it's going to identify about as accurate as your GPS is on the phone, so similar to how you would track yourself on Google Maps on your mobile device if you're traveling somewhere. In this case, I'm in my office at home, and it's identifying the location of my router. So it's just showing me this blue dot of where I'm located, and it's going to flash that point and show me where I'm at. So this is valuable if you're out in the field on your phone, and you can kind of see where you're at and compare to those features you're looking for and trying to find those on the map. When I want to turn that off, I will just uncheck that and then reset my view, and I'll go back to those map settings. For those of you in the mobile devices, that dot will follow you around as you're traveling around in your vehicles. What I'm going to go over next is your layer settings. On the left side, you've got your reset view, your layer settings, tools, and clear button. Anytime I do a lookup and I want to clear that up, you'll see it on the map. You can click this X to clear those drawing on the map. So for now, I'm going to go to my layer settings. Now here I'm logged in as a WTH admin user, so I've got a few extra things showing that you normally would not see. But in this case, there's an option for live layers, which we'll talk about later on. Then down here, we've got our map layers. Now, our base of the map box or our thinkgis.com map is that it's got some open source data in there. But we've also bringing in your local GIS data. So you can see here, we're in Jasper County, Indiana. So we've got the local photography, the local parcel data, and then the utility data available out there as well. You can see when I'm at my current view on the left side, I've got a blue check mark and then black check marks for the layers that are turned on. The blue check mark means the layers turn on at the current view I'm set at. Black means the layers are turned on, but not until I zoom into a certain location. So I'm going to scroll forward and zoom in. As we get closer, you can see now that I've gotten closer, additional layers have turned on and turned blue. So the Jasper parcel layers are on, our service line hydrants, you can see those are on as well. I zoom in closer, some additional features, our water meters, and our service lines turn on as well. You can also categorize the layers that are set up as categories. You can expand or expand the layers or not. If I wanted to see the utility sanitary layers on there, I could turn those all on at the same time by clicking this button over here and toggle the group layers on. Clicking on that, you can see all my utility layers, my sanitary utility layers are turned on. At this point, I just want to focus on the water layers, so I'm going to go back over here and toggle those layers off. Scrolling down, you have some options of base map. We've defaulted to the light base map view, so I'm going to go up and turn off our photography. So we can see this is our default view light-based map that's available to the open source map. If you're ever out, you also have some options for a dark-based map. So if you're ever out, in the middle of the night on your phone and don't need that bright screen, you can switch that to dark. You've got all the same data available to you. As long as your photography is turned off, you can still see the layers, but it'll be in dark mode. If you go up and turn your photography on, you'll still get your bright screen. You also have the option for open source aerial imagery. This is open source, whatever the map box, the base map can find that's available publicly and puts that on there. In this case, it looks like it's a flown in the summer with a leaf on data out there. But this way, if you're ever outside of your area and don't have your local photography, you can turn that layer on and take a look at that. So I'm going to switch back to our light mode and zoom back in and set our photography back to being available. And now I'm going to refresh our map. Next, we're going to go over how to do lookups in the thinkgis.com map. So in this case, we're going to have a similar search window like you do in the ThinkGIS desktop version. We'll click on there and you can search just like you do a desktop typing in and features. So I'm going to start with an address. I'm going to choose 115 West Washington Street. And you're going to zoom in and you'll see that I found the courthouse. I'm going to do that again. And you'll notice the yellow dots up there for my search results. The yellow dots means the data is coming from my local GIS data out there. So anything with a yellow dot on the map or out there with the on the right side with the yellow dot means it's local GIS data from the customer's local data. Anything with the gray dot means it's coming from the open source data and just approximating based on what I typed in there. So once again, I click on that and I can find that information out while I'm clicking on that. You can also search by street name. In this case, I'm going to search for a street, East Vine Street. So you can see it finds it on the map. It's got the full segment of the map highlighted with the A's showing that there on the map for us. Now, as I stated before, you can zoom out and still see that out there where that's located. But if you want to clear that off, you go to the left side and click the X to clear that out. I'm going to refresh my map. You can also search by parcel number. And this is set up customized each customer in consultation with the customer what they want to search by. In this case, the customer has chosen to use a local parcel number. So that's the local parcel number I searched for. Once I zoom on that, I've just done lookups, but now I want to see the attributes about that feature. So now all I have to do is left click and see that feature. The attributes show up here in this window. And I can scroll down. All these attributes are available on the desktop layer. And I can see this data here. When you click on this feature on the phone, this attribute window will completely cover your screen. And when you done with it and you close it out, you will go back to the map. All of the GIS data we've got is updated as quickly as the data is synced up on the desktop side. So if a parcel layer is changed and a split is completed, and a person who's in charge of that layer syncs up the data to the WTH sync server, within 5 to 10 minutes, that layer will automatically be updated on this map. To view those updates, you would have to close your map and reopen, but they are available very quickly. Once again, I can click clear and refresh. And then also, we have additional searches available. So I can also search by last name. We've set that up as well. So we know that Evers is here available. And when I click on that, you can see Gary Evers is available. You can also set up custom searches for meters. I apologize, my voice just went away. Just a moment. You can also set up custom searches for meters. So if you want to search by a meter number, you can look up that number and we can set that up for you so that you can search by that specifically in a search window. As I talked about before, this is open source map, so you can look up just about anywhere on the map. So I'm going to look up the WTH corporate office. So our corporate office is North Washington Boulevard. So I'm going to click on that and zoom on that. And you can see, even though my map base is Rensselaer, Indiana, I can look up here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we talked about previously that you can have the open source imagery. I can come down and click on that and see that imagery available. When I'm done with that, I can turn that back off and then go back to reset my map view. Next, I'm going to go over the tools that are available in the map. On the left side, you've got your toolbar. So I'm going to zoom into a location on the map that allows us to do some tool searches. So I'm going to search here on the softball fields. So our tools menu, we've got a few options on there. The first one is measure distance. When I left click on that, I get a yellow bar around my map that shows edit mode. So I can now do an edit, and my cursor, you can see, change from the finger pointer to the crosshairs. So in this case, maybe I want to find out what's the distance from what looks like home plate to the fence out there. So when I want to start, I'm going to left click to start my measure. And then when I go to my endpoint, I'm going to left click to end. If that's all I want to measure, I can go to the upper right and choose finish editing. That tells me my length. Excuse me. And then if I want to remove it, I can double click to remove. Going back to the wrench, I'm going to do that measure distance again. Once again, I get my edit mode. I'm going to left click, but now anytime I left click and change direction, you can see it gives me the length of that segment. When I go to my next segment, it gives me my segment, and then it also gives me the total length. So I can do multiple features out there, and when I'm done, click on the diskette to finish editing. As I zoom out, you can see that stays there on the map. To remove that, you put your cursor over it and double click to remove, and it's going to go away. The next tool to talk about is your measure area. So very similar to the measure distance, just the edit mode. You're going to left click again to start. And this time I want to just measure what's the acreage of this softball field. And a left click. And now you see it keeps a connecting line anytime I left click in there. It gives me the length of each segment, but also starts to tell me what the acreage is as I'm building my line out there. So I can be very accurate, or I can move down a little bit lower if I need to. And when I'm done, I can click on my last point there. And then over here, I can click finish editing. So once again, I can see that, zoom out, it stays out there. And then I can double click to remove, and that goes away. I'm going to look up for our next tool. I'm going to look up another location. Oops, type in the correct address. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. So over here, if I zoom out a little bit more, we can see this is a quarry. So the place I'm demoing from in Indiana, as you know, Indiana is a pretty flat place, so not a lot of elevation change. But in this case, there's a quarry where we can see some significant elevation change. So when I click on my tools, I'm going to click on my elevation tool and click my point on the map. So you can see it when I click a single point, it gives me the elevation of that point. But also in the upper right, there's this elevation profile window. So when I left click my next point, you can see the profile of my line that's going out there. It kind of shows that change in elevation from my first point 662 feet. My second point is 498 feet. So a significant 100-foot drop. As I continue through the quarry, I can click on that and see that change. And when I come back out, you can see that the change is different. And you can see the elevation profile here in the upper right. When I'm done, just left click again on that last point. So you can see that elevation profile. So a way to measure elevation out there. And when you want to clear that off, just click the clear button and that will go away. Our next tool here is your coordinate tool. So when you click on a point on the map, it gives you the coordinates on the map. So there's two options here. You've got degrees, minutes, seconds, or degrees, minutes. One of the things about this tool is that anytime you want to get a elevation, or I'm sorry, a coordinate from another location, you do have to go back to the tools menu, click the coordinates, and pick a new point again. It does not allow you to click a new point out there. It would just go off there to the location on your map. Those are the current tools available. We will have more coming soon. The next thing I'm going to talk about is what's called a field pins layer. So you can see it's got this pencil out here. So this is a layer that's what we consider like an editable layer in thinkgis.com. It's really kind of what you call a post-it note layer. So when I turn that on, you can see some blue pins on the map that kind of show some details that have happened on the map. So we're going to left click on one of those. So this is a person where I made some notes, say the storm line goes in 4 directions, kind of showing just, and then they're taking a screenshot of showing some details. The value of taking this kind of information is that the person in the field can take the notes, and then the person that's doing the GIS editing back at their office can review the notes and make the updates as needed. So I'm going to slightly resize my map here. I'm going to show how this added goes on the map and how we can show it on the desktop. So I'm going to zoom in to a similar location here on our desktop. So I'm going to go back to the park up here. And you can see we're in the same location over here with that parking lot. So let's say we need to say something about this hydrant over here. We can go to our layer settings, our field pin, and click on our pencil. So now it's allowing us to, once again, do our edit mode. When we're interacting with the map, it's going to show this edit mode. So I'm going to left click the point on the map. It gives me a point. And then to make changes to that, I'm going to click on that again. So now, right now, this is just a very basic map. Click on notes. And we're just going to say, let's say we need to move that hydrant to the other side of the road. We'll just click on that. We've got a required field of a date out here. So you can put some notes in there. And then you saw on this example that photo out there. So I'm on my desktop. I don't have a button to take a photo. If you're out in the field with your phone or a tablet that's got a thick camera in it, there will be a button that says take photo, and you can do that there. In my case, I'm just going to choose upload. I'm going to choose an image and click open. It's going to add that to my screen. And once if I don't like that image, I can click delete and choose a new one, or I can choose save. So it's going to save the point on the map here. So now you can see I've got this point here on the map. Now this is field pins layer is a layer that is viewable on your desktop. You have to be part of the group and get it added to your map. But once you've done that, their layer will automatically update for you without having to close your map and reopen everything like that. It does take a few minutes to reset and do that, but so we'll keep that left side screen open to watch for that. So we can zoom out and see some of those other ones while we're waiting for that to refresh. But just clicking on the details, so the value of this field pin is the person in the field can easily, while they're in the field, quickly note something that's important for that editor to go back and see something. So you see my map just refreshed, and it shows that field pin available down there. When I click on that, you can see that it's got the information I typed in there, the date, and then the attachment is shown in there. When I left click on the attachment, it's going to click up that and bring that open and show me that attachment. So that's a way for the desktop person to quickly see some notes that the field person has seen out there and make corrections to the desktop layers and re-upload the data. Resize my map. So I'm going to bring my map back up. Now, if I want to remove that feature, I need to go back to the right one that I created. If I want to remove that particular feature, once the editor has completed their work with that, if they want to remove that to keep the map from getting cluttered, if there's a lot of work being done and edits being made, once it's done, they can go down here to the bottom and click this trash can and says, are you sure? So there's always that message or verification that, yes, I want to remove that map. So we're going to say yes and remove that map. And then, or that feature, excuse me, and that goes away. The desktop layer resets, checks for updates about every 3 to 5 minutes, and it would remove that layer around that time. Normally, we wouldn't be looking quickly to see that update, waiting for that as quickly as possible. So it actually reset pretty quickly for us. Now we've discussed, in this case, a utility map. So now in my case, I'm going to switch over to a public safety map. Now up here, like I said in the start, I have some additional admin information available here. So a lot of you won't be able to see this as what I'm seeing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the map that I'm looking at. So we're going to open Knox County, Indiana as a public safety, created a public safety map. And we'll reset that map and look that up. So now here you can see some additional data showing up on the map here. So if you've purchased additional products from WTH like AVL, Automatic Vehicle Location, Event Manager, or Calls for Service, which is details about 911 calls, those could be added on to your web map here, your thinkgis.com map. So when I scroll in a little bit, I can see these are called the live layers we talked about before. In my layer settings, I go up the top. Now I can see I've got these live layers available. And it's just kind of showing these circles, just how often they're updating out there. So I'm going to close that back out. And you can interact with these live layers. So I can left click on that feature, and it kind of tells me, here's the last time this unit moved and the speed, and just some general details about that out there on the map. Zoom out a little bit. The starburst is a 911 call. When we click on this one, gives us some details. So this advised the couple, looks like there's a place out here that's doing some controlled burns. So they're burned today in cardboard. So the advantage of this is it's got this icon on the map. Get 911 calls about smoke coming from this area, they quickly can look up and say, oh, we already know there's something happening there. It's nothing to worry about. They can let the public know everything is okay. So as things happen, some of these will go on and go away. So you may see while we're working here, an icon drop or pop off as we're looking at data going there. You could also see an icon for an event manager. So Event Manager is another add-on product that allows you to set just some general events on the mapping to just describe what's going on. So in this case, here's a road closure. Let us know what's happening there. Let's move up a little bit on the map, another road closure. Lets us know that. And I'm going to scroll in a little bit here. You can see this orange line. I can click on that and see this 4th Street in Freelandville or Bicknell is closed for and hopefully open back November 1st. So just a quick heads up display. In this case, this customer also did some pre-planning at the fairgrounds there with some notification where the bathrooms are, EMS locations, and a medevac if needed. So some of that information can be shown up quickly on your map. So those are some of the benefits of a public safety map with some live layers on your map. If you're at a conference, you can quickly pull up your phone and see the status of what's going on in your jurisdiction. Next, I'm going to go a little bit over the admin portion of the data. So like I said, they're each, I have a little bit extra permissions out here, but when you log in and go to the admin page, one user, each customer will be assigned an admin user, and they'll see something similar to this where they can see the list of users on their left side, and then their information, and then on the lower left, they can choose add a new user. And click on that. It allows them to put in a username, password, and assign a password of what map they have permission to. A lot of this is restricted to your jurisdiction. But in doing so, you can also, as the customer administrator, determine what features a user can view. So in this case, if I wanted my user to no longer see AVL, I could uncheck the Sheriff's Department and then click Save, and then close my map. Now I'm no longer seeing those sheriff's units on my map. So you can determine each user what information they can see on their map. That's done by the customer admin. So I will go back to that admin page. I can select that user, come back and enable that out there. We talked earlier about the live layer editing permissions for the field pins. That is also controlled in this location. So I want this person to be able to make changes to the field pins layer. I would put a check mark here. They also normally be added to the map, but if I don't want them to make changes, they would just have this unchecked. When I'm complete with my changes, I would just click Save. And once again, in my layer settings, you can see my field pins. I don't have the pencil there to make the changes. If I go back in those settings, put a check mark there, then I would have that pencil available to make changes. That's kind of covers everything we've got in thinkgis.com. As we discussed, this is an add-on program to your existing data. It does require a subscription, and other than the field pins layer, is a view-only map, but it is very valuable to be used in your mobile devices. Leslie, I'm going to turn it back over to you now.
Thank you, Trevor, for going over that valuable information to help our users become more familiar with features WTH has to offer within our GIS platforms. Just a friendly reminder to watch for that email with the survey link and a recording of what we learned here in today's session. Any input and feedback is greatly appreciated. You can also review the recording on our website by navigating back to the registration page, where it will soon be posted. If for some reason, after some time, your company's firewall doesn't seem to allow the email to come through, feel free to reach out to a WTH staff member and we can send you the links directly. We hope you have enjoyed the topics we've discussed here within the past few months and are hopeful that you might see more of us on this platform in the future. Stay tuned, and in the meantime, we're here to help with whatever questions you may have. Thank you from your friends here at WTH Technology.